Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. It's your favorite tank with the stash, Gunko Guns. And man, I've been deep in the trenches, testing out the spear and shield builds like a madman. And let me tell you something, folks, I'm having an absolute blast. In today's video, I'm bringing you my very first version of the spear, sword, and shield tank build for PVE dungeons, world bosses, and things like that, especially trials. If you're looking to have some fun and test out the tank version of this build, check this video out. So sit back, crack open a brew, maybe two, and let's dive in. Let's go. All right, thank you all very much for being here, spending a few minutes with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's quickly go over the Guardians. I'm using the Lady Knight, and let me tell you, she's the MVP. She's your ultimate oh shit bun that kind of saves your life when you just think it's over. You'll be singing I'm a believer, and honestly, she is pretty easy on the eyes too, right? So that's a big bonus. For our Q ability, we're going to go with the shield block. It's just the best in slot, no questions about it. Rob or strong makes it easy with this build. At the end of this video, I'll actually show you some gameplay footage from a pug group that I was in last night. Spoiler alert, everyone freaking died, shocker, right? But you'll see how much defense and offense this build can bring to the table. Even though I'm not fully geared and this is just my first build or my first attempt at this build, that potential is clear. If I find any improvements though, folks, I can promise you I will update it as soon as possible. But anyway, enough talk. Let's dive into the build. All right, let's quickly go over the skill specializations because some of these moves might look a little different than they do on my screen for you. So let's go into it. We'll start off with the sword and shield, just because again we put a fewer points in here. The first one we're going to get is shield strikes. It's very important that you get both piercing strike and aggro increased. This is going to be one of the main ways that we're going to keep aggro from the boss. So again, make sure that you get this. Okay. The second one is the counter barrier. Excuse me, we do get the very last one, damage increase, just for the 5% extra damage while this lasts. And remember, this is for 6 seconds, so it's quite a lot, and kind of gives you that extra boost in damage. Plus, this is one of our main defensives, so definitely get this. The other one is the chain hook. I get the rear chain hook at the end here. Here's an actual opportunity for you to kind of adjust your build. You can either go shield throw or chain hook. I personally like the chain hook because I use this build sometimes on Sarcoma Island, and it's just easier when you can move things around with the chain hook. The shield throw, for example, will kind of it does, they both do a really good job, but this one for me personally is better because I can kind of maneuver the adds together and group them up for AoE. But if you're not a big fan of it and you would rather have something else, you can get the shield throw and just have enough points for the whirling shield and you'll be great. Both of them are really good. Personally, I prefer the chain hook. Moving on to the provoking roar, I do give these two at the end. I get the cooldown decrease, which brings this down to about 20 seconds. And then I get the additional damage from it, which is, again, broken how much damage this thing does right here. So again, this is all I get from the shield and sword. Going over to the spear, and again, guys, I have tested this so much, and this is, in my opinion, the best tanking wide rotation that I have so far. Going with a calling arc, again, this is how we're going to open up damage. Again, I would get all three of these, just increases damage, increases stacks, etc., etc. I do use Gale Rush, by the way. This is kind of how I, gap close, but on top of that, it maximizes attack speed stacks, which is great. You really want to open up your any rotation you do with this is going to help. And again, it's 12-second cooldown, so you can kind of use this to rush around. If you find yourself with some extra points, I would definitely increase the additional rush or maybe the attack speed increase, up to you. But I think just the initiative blitz is just fine for the Gale Rush. Going down to the Abyssal Cleave, again, very important that you set up all your moves with this critical cleave here, because what this does when you hit it for the next 5 seconds, you get a huge increase in critical damage boost, critical hit damage. Again, very important. This is how I'm going to start most of my big boosts is with this one. Going down to Brutal Fury, and again, this is Vicious Fury right here. I do get Brutal Fury, I do get Conditional Hit, and I also get the damage increase. The Blood Leech Aura, again, I like all of these. I like the additional health recovered by 35%, and the cooldown reduction by 3 seconds. But again, as you see, it's only 3 seconds. So if you would like to, move some points around and put them somewhere else, this is where you would take them from, is the blood leech aura. Even without these, this is just a fantastic, fantastic move. On top of that, it also heals you by 15.5%. And I think it actually goes up as you level it. As you can see, mine's only a blue one, but you will see the potential even in the blue ones, especially when you get into purple skills, etc., etc. This thing is just a killer. Going down to the Sentinel, the Unyielding Sentinel, I actually turned this into the Bastion for everybody. And then I also put an additional 4,000 health recovered from this, which is just, again, amazing, crazy that you can kind of heal yourself for most of these. But again, this is kind of what I run. It's great that I can help the healer, especially in these trials. It just makes this so much easier. For the Rising Slash, this is going to divide the community. I know it is, but that's okay. I only get the explosive damage right here. I used to have Slaughtering Slash. However, I've tested it all freaking day yesterday. Just did, and I noticed maybe less than 1% in damage difference. It is not worth 7 points. Guys, I promise you it's not worth 7 points. I've tested it 30, 40 different times with different mobs. There is no difference. There is almost no difference. It's less than 1%. I would definitely not waste 7 points on this. So that's why I just got the Rising Slash and I went with explosive damage. The last move that I get is the Cyclonic Fury. I get the conditional damage, and then I get the critical damage as well. All right, and then quickly over the passives. Again, I play with a lot of them. These are the ones that just work the best for me. I get the Impenetrable for the defense. I get the Resilient Mind for the mana, especially if you are evading and blocking, which you should be doing a lot as a tank. So this really helps you, with your mana control. I also get Spectrum of Agony because, again, we are going to be using that, provoking roar quite often. So this definitely does kind of, make it a lot easier for us to control everything. This is an amazing passive with that. Then I went with the Mortal Wrath. This thing is freaking fantastic. Definitely get this. I went with Retaliatory Strike. I went with Fatal Precision. I went with Malice Surge. And then finally, Imposing Form. Again, they're not fully leveled yet, but I will get these two up here the next couple of days to max purple, as well as these. But again, these are the moves or the passes that I use. Here is how my toolbar looks like, and I set it up in this way for a reason for you guys, and I'll show you that later in a second. As you see right over here, on the very top is kind of like your action buttons, and I have them in order for a reason. I have the Piercing Strike, I have the Calling Arc, I have the Abyssal Cleave, I have the Brutal Fury, the Rising Slash, and then finally the Cyclonic Fury. At the end, on the bottom, again, I have the Gap Closer Gale Rush, and then I have the Blood Leech Aura. I do pop this, by the way, this along with the Provoking Roar before I pull any boss. This is kind of what I do as soon as I go in. Okay, just kind of maximize thread, get some damage going, especially in ads. This thing is fantastic. On top of that, you have your Chain Hook, which is, again, another way to control aggro. And then you have your Sentinel Bastion, which, by the way, remember, it heals you, but on top of that, it gives your entire group a crazy, heavy chat, increased magic and melee as well, which is a fantastic move. You can use it. I would use it on cooldown just to kind of, again, help your teammates. Or maybe, just use it for the heal. Really up to you. I personally use it on cooldown. And then obviously we have the Counter Barrier, which is kind of like our big shield chance. And remember, when you use it, you get a damage increase by 5%. And these two work together in sync, because remember, when you use this one would reduce its cooldown by 1.3 seconds, which is pretty good, and it's going to increase the aggro by a lot. All right, and then quickly going over the gear pieces, I will actually have this linked in the description. This is what I'm using, by the way. Again, mine are not fully level, but I wanted to kind of show you the potential of it. I am still rocking the Karnix Netherblade. The reason for that is that 10 strength, and on top of that, the 1675 max HP is just fantastic, guys. It doesn't get better. I know there's some other, shields that are out there, but I just love this one. I went with Juno Bonte's Smoldering Spear. Again, I also use a lot of, for my DPS one, I'm a flame build, so I just, I didn't want to have two of them, so this was just kind of, in there. On top of that, you also get a ton of max HP from it. So again, I don't think you can have a wrong answer here. I just prefer this one because, again, it works for both builds. I am still rocking the four-piece Shock Commander set with the Templar Cloak and the Heroic Greaves of Resistance. In my opinion, this is the best setup for a tank because, you know, you get the melee and ranged endurances. On top of that, every one of them gives you max, you know, HP, max health, and that's what I'm stacking as a tank. Is just fantastic. Again, for the jewelry pieces, or you know, I always get the Class of the Conqueror, the Primal King, and then the Universal Power, and then the Dimensional Band. Again, reason for that, as you can see, most of them give you max HP, and then this one just gives you 3 to everything, which is, you know, fantastic. I am still rocking the Butcher's Belt. I've had it for a very long time. Again, I love the max HP from it, so that's why I use it. As you see right here, this is how I pretty much spread it up. You can take 60 in strength, and then you can kind of, you know, get your perception to 30 and your wisdom to 30. You can alternate these, maybe bring this down to 50. It's really up to you if you don't want the max, you know, the other 900 points, which is again not necessary. You can then, you know, use those 10 points to get your fortitude and dexterity up to 30 as well. Really up to you. You cannot go wrong here either way. For your skills, by the way, I have it saved right here. I will be, you know, again, putting this in the description. If you go into the skills here, I have the masteries for both sword and shield here, and spear, I should say, is plus the specializations. If you need a, you know, a second look at it, it's definitely included in one of my builds. So again, this is the armor that I recommend for this build. Once you level, like I said, I think tanking with this is going to be a lot better and a lot easier than it is going to be with the great sword and shield, in my opinion. Anyway, let's move on to the rotation really quick. So for the rotation, and again, I'm going to actually show you this, you know, in the video later, but I just kind of wanted to go over it so you kind of understand what I do here. So the very first thing that I would do for the rotation wise is use your Gale Rush to kind of, you know, close the gap and kind of start everything, you know, with all the stuff that this kind of gives you with the weakened status, etc., etc., etc. I would immediately pop your Blood Leech Aura and then your Provoking Roar. This is going to guarantee that you keep all aggro to you, okay, right off the bat. Then I would pop your Counter Barrier, and then I would start slamming your shield into him. As soon as you slam your shield, this is where the big damage kind of starts coming in. You're going to get the Calling Arc in there, and then you want to get the Abyssal Cleave to start the big boost in damage, followed by Brutal Fury, Rising Slash, and then finish it off with Cyclonic Fury. Here's the other thing that I noticed. And again, I'm still testing it. That's why I haven't put it in the final rotation just yet. If I use everything up to the Cyclonic Fury and then use my Rising Slash last, it does, I'm getting a little bit more damage, but it's not consistent for me to say that this is how it works. But I will continue to kind of mess with these and see which one is better. But for right now, this is my rotation. I do use the Piercing Strike and the Provoking Roar and then the Chain Hook. I use them in very specific ways to make sure that I maintain aggro, because again, this is going to give you max aggro, max aggro, max aggro right off the bat. So you have 3 ways to control the boss. This is only a 5-second cooldown. This is a 20-second cooldown, and then this is also a 20-second cooldown. So again, be smart about it, how you use them. Make sure that you always have one available to make sure that you know, you can control the boss's aggro. For your defense, obviously, you have this that heals you. You have this that is a big damage reduction. And on top of that, you have the Sentinel Bastion, which also heals you. But it's also a big buff to your, you know, your party, which they will increase the attack chance and everything else. So again, you're going to have to use everything, but it's a really, really fun build. Again, that was the rotation. Let me show you some of the gameplay in the end. I'm going to let it play and then go from there. I just wanted to say thank you guys very much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Again, please let me know in the comments what you think, if you're doing anything different. Again, this is the first version of it. I will be updating it if I find anything better. But honestly, after about a day or two of playing with it, I don't think there's anything better than this. Anyway, thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to let the video play now.
All I ever wanted was you, but you left me alone inside these empty, broken walls. And I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you left me